Signing the Paris Agreement on climate change this month could make more funds available to Dominica to address the impact of natural disasters. Government's Disaster Vulnerability Risk Fund to be financed through the Economic Citizenship Program, and a message to young people to emulate Cardinal Felix as he celebrates 60 years of priesthood. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details after this. First up, when Dominica signs the Paris Agreement on climate change in New York later this month, this will strengthen its hand in accessing funds to deal with the impact of natural disasters. Idona John Baptist has more.
196 countries, including Dominica, approved the agreement in Paris in December 2015 at the Conference of the Parties COP21. The signing ceremony for the agreement will coincide with Mother Earth Day on April 22, 2016. According to the UN, this will be the largest one-day signing of any international agreement, an event to be attended by 150 governments, including 40 heads of state. The document will be available at the United Nations headquarters in New York that Friday and be opened for 1 year for signatures. Those countries which have endorsed the treaty are aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions fast enough to limit global warming to 2 degrees Celsius. Environment Minister Dr. Kenneth Daru will sign on the country's behalf in New York.
For once, for the past decade or more, an agreement was met. Now, we in the Caribbean or small and developing states, seeds, especially Caribbean seeds, we plan on making this really strong political statement where CARICOM has agreed that the leaders of the CARICOM states would be available, would go up to New York to sign on the opening day of the signing. So this agreement is open for signing on the 22nd, and I've been honored to lead a small delegation to New York to sign on Dominica's behalf. Of course, this is going to mean a lot to Dominica. There's a lot at stake on signing this agreement. First of all, it shows the political will of the government that they're in agreement with what was agreed to by the international community in Paris. Number two, the issue of financing going forward is going to be ultra important that we show a formal agreement, that we're in agreement with what happened in Paris, and access to climate financing, which is so important to us. And we can speak to the tab that Erica left in a week, 1.4 billion EC dollars.
The United States and China remain the 2 biggest polluters in the world. For Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, the unity which the international community showed on the climate change deal in Paris is a clear indication they mean business.
Had we not reached an agreement in Paris, I believe that would have been the end of the negotiations on climate change.
The agreement will take effect after 55 countries that account for at least 55% of global emissions have submitted their instruments of ratification. Idona John Baptist for Channel 5 News.
Meantime, it looks like a greater push to attract investor citizens is likely as government is in the process of setting up a vulnerability risk fund financed by the Economic Citizenship Program. Prime Minister Skerrit made the announcement at the opening of a 3-day workshop on building climate resilience on Monday. He says government would soon conclude establishment of the fund.
That fund will be set aside to deal with external shocks and the occurrence of natural disasters. And we intend to finance largely that fund with proceeds from the Economic Citizenship Program. Because we recognize as countries we need to be able to set aside something for rainy days. And as tight as the fiscal situation can be in our country, it's important for us to do that. So when there is an external shock, and you may have balance of payments issues, when there's a natural disaster, you have something set aside to be able to draw them from and provide for your people and for your country.
The Prime Minister is also unimpressed that small islands, which are already high in debt, have to end up financing the majority of efforts to respond to the impact of climate change.
Obviously, our economies are too small to generate the kind of resources to finance mitigation and to finance resilience and to finance reconstruction. And therefore you have to borrow. And with borrowing, it impacts on your debt to GDP. And it impacts on a number of other areas that you like to invest in. If we're to look at Tropical Storm Erica and its impact on the economy, imagine you have to build more than 400 homes for individuals. And on top of these homes, infrastructure, roads, water, telecommunication services, electricity, schools, community centers, resource centers, commercial spaces for those in the commercial area.
He wants developed states to make financing more readily available to help small developing countries adapt to climate change.
The procedures need to be short-circuited in order for us to have immediate access to the resources. Because sometimes it is almost, to access the resources, it is almost as trying to make ice cream in an oven. And you submit a project in 2016, then if the project is implemented in 2020, 2021, you're very lucky. And we have events upon events adding to the already devastating situation.
In other news now, the country's young people have been called upon to copy the qualities of His Eminence, Kelvin Cardinal Felix, and Louis has more.
Dominica's Cardinal Felix celebrated his 60th anniversary as an ordained priest on Sunday.
That these 60 years of sacrifice and service have endeared His Eminence not only to the church and people here in Dominica, but to the wider Caribbean and the worldwide community. Within the church and wherever he served, the Cardinal left his mark in the many little things that he did to change lives and to improve both the spiritual and social conditions of God's people.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett says the church is in need of more people to serve with humility.
And I think he is a living testimony for all of us, especially the young. We need to emulate the commitment, the dedication, and the love for God and for our church, which Cardinal exemplifies on a daily basis. But above all, I believe one of my greatest admirations of the Cardinal, His Eminence, is his humility. A very rare commodity in our society these days. I believe now more than ever, the church needs us. It needs us to remain committed to the faith, and it needs us committed to serving, and serving with humility.
Cardinal Felix was described as a treasure which the country must be proud of.
Our dear Eminence is a national treasure. Is a national treasure of Dominica, and indeed a regional treasure. 60 years is not a simple feat. It did not come easy. And it's also motivation for us because Cardinal is from the village of Mon18thApril2k16News, from humble beginnings. So it is not our circumstance which will determine our destiny. It should be our commitment, our dedication, our perseverance, and remaining true to what we believe in.
In related news, congratulatory messages poured in for Cardinal Felix as he celebrated his 60th anniversary of ordination to the priesthood on Sunday.
Several people from around the region and the world came to Dominica just to celebrate the occasion with the Cardinal. Cardinal Felix was described as a role model to priests and religious around the region.
The priests of the region also look up to you as an icon and role model. Your brother bishops of the Antilles Episcopal Conference, the AEC, are grateful to God for your example and witness among them, and for your sterling contribution to the church in the Caribbean. You have brought prudence, savoir-faire, camaraderie, an amazing smile, and spirit of encouragement to our Episcopal Conference.
Cardinal Felix was also recognized for the religious work he did outside the Roman Catholic Church.
Today, we celebrate the priest, the one who, for 60 years, responded faithfully to the grace of God and grew in that response, a response that in 1975 led him to exercise his priestly ministry beyond the boundaries of the Roman Catholic Church to a wider realm of ecumenical engagement with other Christian denominations, the member churches of the Caribbean Conference of Churches.
A grand celebratory mass was held at the Windsor Park Stadium to mark the occasion. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In other news now, farmers involved in the production of tissue culture bananas are being encouraged to reinvest in their business, expand production, and be sustainable. The Minister for Agriculture himself has warned farmers that it's not sustainable for his ministry to continue subsidizing farm inputs. Farmers in Calibishi and Castle Bruce have been involved in the production of tissue culture bananas after government imported 60,000 plants from France in an effort to fight black sigatoka disease. One technical officer in the Ministry of Agriculture says the tissue culture project proves that with the right agronomic practices, black sigatoka can be managed, if not eliminated entirely. The parliamentary representative for Calibishi was part of a delegation which witnessed harvesting of tissue culture bananas in that constituency recently.
This is a constituency which is an agricultural hub, and we appreciate the work of the farmers. We appreciate the resources that government continues to invest, and we encourage the farmers to continue to do well. As parliamentary representative, I work very closely with the farmers of the community to be able to hear their needs, their concern. And actually, in the farmers group in Calibishi is 153, has a membership of 153. So that tells you, and they're very interested. I am happy there's a greater sense of hope in agriculture in the Calibishi community.
The parliamentary representative recently met with young farmers from Calibishi and Benz in an effort to encourage youth participation in agriculture. You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, the church joins other civil society groups in the fight against child abuse. Thank you for staying with us. By Wednesday, Dominica could have a plan to guide its approach in sourcing funds to build resilience to climate change through the energy sector. This, as a 3-day workshop on sustainable energy and climate resilience, is underway at the State House Conference Center. The activity is supported by the Swedish Energy Agency, Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, and SIDSDOC. It's part of a regional pilot project on North-South cooperation for sustainable energy development in island states. The national workshop has summoned representatives of the public and private sectors. The potential of waste as an energy source will be explored as projects at the Fonkole landfill and Layo abattoir are up for discussion.
One area of concern to us as a people is the generation of waste and its disposal. Waste generation and disposal also contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. I humbly suggest, therefore, that as you work through the next 3 days, that all types of waste, solid and liquid, take some prominence on the agenda. So as you deliberate on the issues and vulnerabilities of our small island, I sincerely hope that you generate strong ideas that will produce strong projects. In this regard, I hope that Dominica will be able to provide a pipeline of projects that, when implemented, will ensure that we build our resilience to climate-related events.
Meantime, Ambassador Dr. Vince Henderson has challenged Dominica to adopt smarter methods as it continues to rebuild post-tropical storm Erica. His Excellency Henderson, who is chairman of SIDSDOC, is recommending that Dominica learns from its experience from Tropical Storm Erica and build infrastructure that can withstand the impact of climate change.
Recently, I heard a very interesting debate. Great news, on one hand, that we will be replacing a bridge that has been, of course, affected as well from the onslaught of the hydrometeorological event we had last August. But one of the things that we must all agree is that we must build smarter. We must build more climate resilient infrastructure. So that building a bridge
50 years ago is not the same exercise as building a bridge today. That's if we want it to last.
He also says that more assistance from the international community is needed to build climate resilience within small states.
If you want to make a crossing, it's fine. I had some fellows from St. Jamaica wanting to flag out some years ago. But we have to build now in a way that is smarter, more climate resilient. So for us as small island developing states, it is real, we live it. But it is also placing a tremendous pressure on our central government in United States.
And efforts to stop the plague of child abuse in our society were kicked up several notches over the weekend. Andrea Louis with this report.
This was the aim of a child abuse rally held at the People's Park under the theme Preserving God's Heritage.
When we realize that that which we are seeing displayed before us is not given the adequate attention that it deserves, and we are destroying the very future of Dominica by not giving the kind of attention to it that it deserves. We see, ladies and gentlemen, compromise at the highest levels within the churches of this nation. We see misgivings in the judicial system. As we see those things unfold, we know that that is a testament to the fact that as a nation we have forsaken God. You see, we think it's about politics, and we have been so divided over these lines. But it's not about politics, my friend.
Dominicans have been warned that the impact of child sexual abuse is far-reaching and affects all groups in society.
You look at our youngsters today in the juvenile court. In any given year, there's approximately 295 cases being brought before the juvenile court in a given year. Our young boys, teenagers, young girls, primarily between the ages of 14 and under 18, are grossly affected psychologically, mentally, because of gross abuse that have taken place in time past. Research have shown very clearly that one of the leading causes of adult mental illness is because of child sexual abuse.
There were calls for the church and government to work closely together to erase the stain of child abuse in the country.
The church must speak. The church must be a voice for the voiceless. The church must represent God in the presence of the local government. Is anybody hearing this? The church must give the government direction. When the church of God comes to its senses to preserve the heritage, the first thing we must do is observe the foundations. Note the foundations. Rebuild the foundations. Maintain the foundations of righteousness, of truth, of justice, of upstanding in the society.
The rally was organized by the Coalition of Evangelical Pastors and Leaders to further raise the awareness on the issue of child abuse. Several organizations came on board to show solidarity. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Meantime, Dominicans have been urged to continue the fight against child abuse in spite of the daunting statistics. Here again is Andrea Louis.
The Dominican National Council of Women has officially been advocating for the better treatment of women and children for 30 years. They say the numbers aren't improving. Parents have been cautioned to play a greater role in reducing the incidence of child abuse.
Fathers and mothers, aunts and uncles, hush money is evil money. Stop it. You need to work and not let your children go to work for you. There are things we don't want to do. We do it underhand. We think our children do not see, and they start to do it, and we pretend that we do not know. So please, work to support your children.
Linton called on women in particular to pay closer attention to their children.
As women, we love our husbands, we love our keepers, we love our boyfriends. When our children speak, oh, he wouldn't do you that. He wouldn't do you. Stop it! Believe our children. Investigate and find out. Don't just close the children down. It is not fair, it is not right. And though we are women, we must also teach our children moral values.
The National Youth Council of Dominica also expressed solidarity.
The National Youth Council of Dominica, therefore, wishes to challenge youth leaders and religious leaders within the society to spearhead initiatives which provide ongoing support to those affected by child abuse. We cannot stop working. The National Youth Council of Dominica will not stop working, along with collaborating agencies from the civil society, private sector, and central government to bring an end to the scourge of child abuse in Dominica.
The newly formed group, Women Helping Other Women, WOW, encouraged their peers to play their part in stamping out child abuse.
We must challenge. Just sit down and say, okay, well, so it is we. It ain't that way. Eleanor Roosevelt reminds us, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. You have to agree. Be bold, be brave, and together we can make a change.
And the UWI Open Campus has come a long way in terms of the increase in the number of programs being offered. Dominica is currently offering over a dozen programs, and officials say this represents significant growth in enrollment for the Open Campus.
The Dominican site has produced over the last 5 years more than 200 graduates in degree programs from the bachelor's right up to the master's programs. And we are pleased that we also have enrolled persons from Dominica in our new doctoral program in education, educational leadership. So in a couple of years, we will see graduates from doctoral programs right here in Dominica. And that is something that we must take very seriously.
But the UWI leadership is not satisfied with the status quo. They believe there is still a long way to go to increase the number of Dominicans pursuing tertiary education.
The UWI Open Campus's commitment to working with the government, to working with the private sector, to working with civil society to ensure that Dominica's enrollment rate in higher education increases rapidly. We need to strengthen our partnerships with all of our other institutions in the region, and for that reason, the UWI has indicated very clearly its willingness to partner with our community colleges to extend the possibility of community colleges becoming colleges of the University of the West Indies and being able to also offer full UWI programs. We recognize that we must join hands in order to get our countries out of the economic recession that we find ourselves into, and these are some of the efforts that we are making.
Meantime, the latest batch of Open Campus graduates have been told to see their qualifications as much more than just a means to achieving their desired career path and its attending wealth.
For many of us, as children, we have these big dreams of becoming medical doctors, lawyers, accountants, engineers, because we were conditioned, and we are still, to some extent, being conditioned to be competitive, to be outstanding, and to be progressive. Education has always been seen as the foundation for personal security and income generation. But education without balance is meaningless. UWI prepares you not only for a career trajectory, but to be a professional in every sense of the word.
Ms. Paul urged graduates to see their degrees as preparation to assume their rightful place in society to improve the quality of life not just for themselves but for others.
It is therefore important to take interest in development issues that beset society, a society which you are part and parcel of. I speak thereof of crime, unemployment, violence against women and children, child protection issues, indebtedness, sexual health and reproductive health issues, climate change, natural disasters, environmental degradation, food insecurity, loss of community spirit, and the re-emerging issue of racism.
Graduates receive bachelor's in education, social sciences, nursing, post-RN, executive diploma in management, and postgraduate diploma in education. Lillian Alexander Williams and Erickson de Gallery received the master's in adult and continuing education. Celia Maxwell, Master of Science in Nursing, and Letitia White, Executive Masters in Business Administration. That's news. We join Kenny Williams next with your sports highlights.
Hello everyone and thanks for joining us. First up, Grand Bay Colts defeated Nagico Northern Stars by 1 wicket in action organized by the Dominica Cricket Association on the weekend. Stars batted first, posting 217. Kevin James top scored with 126. Jeremy Isaac picked up 3 for 39 for Colts. Grand Bay in reply tallied 224. Akan Edwards 95 and Alvinson Jolly 45. Jason Lamoff picked up 4 for 26. In their second innings, Nagico Northern Stars posted 119. Kevin James top performed with 83. Nixon Athanas took 4 for 13 and Brian Defoe 3 for 48. Grand Bay Colts again at the crease scored 115 for 9. Courtney Anselm made 38. In other matches, Gladiators beat Dublin. Final scores, Gladiators 194 batting second, Dublin 192. And the game between Reuben Bakery Christians and Point Michelle Cricket Academy ended prematurely when disagreements between the umpire and Christians team captain unfolded, a call made for wide. On to football, only one match was possible in the National Leagues of the Dominica Football Association over the weekend. In the Domlec Women's League on Sunday, New Generation Sports Club and Dive Dominica Harlem United played to a 2-all draw at the Newtown playing field. Tamanthea Joseph found the back of the nets twice for New Generation, with Elijah Teets scoring twice for Harlem. The other scheduled matches were called off for various reasons. Meantime, DFA President Glenn Etienne encourages football referees to continue improving their skills even after the training sessions were finished. He spoke at the close of a 5-day FIFA referees advanced course.
The 2 days you do with the referees on Monday and Tuesday, that cannot be enough. It's impossible. That will never be enough and it will never work. I just want to advise persons here that you must do your own training. You have to get up in the morning or in the evening on the odd days that you haven't got a game, and you have to go out and do your own work.
Etienne is joined by referee instructor Denmore Roberts, who encourages referees to keep learning and upgrading.
It is for you to move forward, taking what you've learned over the last few days and putting it into action. Remember, we do not judge intention, we deal with what? Action. So I want you to put into action what you would have gone through over the last few days. Continue the fitness training, continue the technical sessions, continue to learn. When the new laws come out in the next few weeks, read the book properly, apply the interpretations, and you will be successful.
In basketball, one could sense the intense competition with 2 closely finished matches and 2 greater defeats on the weekend as action continued in the 2016 Flow DABA League. Just 1 point separated the winning E.H. Charles crossover from losing Eagles in a 61-60 encounter. Crossover's top shooter was Kesley Guy with 19 points, 10 rebounds, McRae Edwards 17 points, 3 rebounds, and Lindell Mayers 12 points and 8 rebounds. Lenford John top scored for Eagles with 15 points and 12 rebounds. Asher Thomas assisted with 14 points, 10 rebounds, while Niraj Francis and Dave Alexis chipped in with 10 and 9 respectively. Meantime, in another match, Paybush Snipers beat Digital Cloud 59-58. Ahmed Fagan got 22 points and 9 rebounds for Snipers. Kurt Charles scored 19 and Chevron Ambo 14 for Cloud. The league continues on Tuesday, where Elvis Welding Services Hornets will be hoping to hold their own against Interschool from 7, while the Police and Raiders will do battle at 9. The action is carded for Lindo Park. Back on the cricket scene, the first domestic insurance under-15 league will have its first round of matches in Zone A on Tuesday. The Dominica Grammar School and Pierre Charles Secondary will go head-to-head at the Botanic Gardens from 10 a.m. Meantime, in the recent Ballarama, Castle Bruce Secondary defeated Portsmouth Secondary by 26 runs to be crowned the 2016 Ballarama champion. Final scores: CBSS 70 without loss, PSS 45 for 5. Still in sports, the Portsmouth men's team dominated their game in the opening of the 2016 Flow Dominica Amateur Volleyball Association's league. In the Division 1 match, Portsmouth NCCU Sunrise defeated Marigot Breakers 3-0. The Portsmouth 2nd Division team, also with a win, defeated Marigot 3-2. In the women's game, however, Marigot turned the tides, defeating Portsmouth 3-2. And on Sunday, Signman Celtics beat DB's Acers 3-2. Moving now to netball, where in just 9 minutes of play into the first quarter, the game ended ahead of time when Wesley's goal attack Nerissa Hippolyte fell, breaking her ankle. At the time, Spartans were in the lead 9-5 when Hippolyte had the unfortunate incident. Still in the 2016 Big Edge Financial Express Netball League, New India Sharon Celtic defeated Cocoa Town Cafe Portsmouth Secondary 36-18 on Saturday. Julia Johnson got 21 from 26 and Ania Datush 15 from 16 for Celtic. CTC top scorers were Selena Langley with 11 and Tanisha Joseph 5. And on the international cricket scene, Sunrise Hyderabad won over Mumbai Indians by 7 wickets in Monday's IPL match. Indians batted first and scored 142 for 6. A. Rayudu totaled 54. Set 143 for victory, Sunrisers replied with 145 for 3. David Warner scored 90 not out for the winning team. That's all the sports for now. I am Kenny Williams. Do join us again next time.
Your weather report is next.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am Janelle Macpherson. A trough system today resulted in multi-layered clouds across the region. Visible satellite imagery showed some pockets of convective clouds across the Leeward Islands, while cloudy skies were observed across Dominica today. Radar imagery indicated a shower activity across the Leeward Islands. The weather for tonight is expected to be mostly cloudy with scattered showers. Similar conditions can be expected tomorrow with temperatures peaking near 30 degrees Celsius. Sea conditions tomorrow are expected to be slight to moderate with waves peaking near 5 feet. For the next 3 days, weak instability and available low-level moisture will result in cloudy skies and scattered showers. Persons in areas prone to flooding, landslides and falling rocks are advised to exercise caution. Across the Caribbean tomorrow, the trough system will continue to generate cloudy skies and scattered showers across the northern and central portion of the island chain with possible isolated thunderstorms. The extreme southern portion of the chain can expect partly cloudy skies. On the international cities forecast, partly cloudy skies in New York and Miami, clear skies expected in London and Beijing, possible thunderstorm activity in Caracas. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:48 a.m. and a sunset at 6:21 a.m. For up-to-date weather information, please visit our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for viewing and have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. Signing the Paris Agreement on climate change this month could make more funds available to Dominica to address the impact of natural disasters. Government's Disaster Vulnerability Risk Fund to be financed through the Economic Citizenship Program, and a message to young people to emulate Cardinal Felix as he celebrates 60 years of priesthood. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. And to our viewers around the world, join us tomorrow.